Braves country. All right, we're starting a little rocky on the first episode of this. First time we've done one of these in a long time. And if you're just joining us trying to figure out what in the world's going on, well, we are beginning the Braves country today, and we're going to be doing this live. We're going to be doing them after one series ends and before the next series begins. And we'll be updating you on what the time is, but you really would just want to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you'll see the time on there. Sometimes it has to change because I'm rushing from one gig to the next, and I'm having to get to this studio, and so sometimes I can't get here. Today we're supposed to start at 3, and it ends up being about 15, 20 minutes late, but it is what it is, and we move on. So we'll get better. You know, in a perfect world, we won't have these games that overlap, but it is what it is. Okay. By the way, this Friday, we're planning on doing it somewhere between 12:30 and 1 live. Now, to watch live, you got to be a member. If you're not a member, you need to join today. If not, we'll catch you on the replay. But if you want to actually ask questions, if you want to make comments, all that kind of stuff. Same thing with the gambling show. You got to be a Braves Country Club member. I think we've done this long enough without requiring people to be a member, and you're either in or you're out. Okay, here we go. So the first thing that I want to touch on, if you missed the news, in the Atlanta Braves, today they put A.J. Minter on the IL, and they brought Dylan Lee back. Now, you've got some skeptical people out there that believe that this is a ghost IL for AJ because he's used a couple of times. I don't believe that's true. Not in this case. There's, the times where I tell you straight up, I believe it's a ghost IL. This is not one of those times. I believe this is an actual legitimate IL stint. His velocity had been down about 1 to 2 miles an hour. Not a huge deal, but it usually is a sign of something. So it's with left hip inflammation. Take that for what it's worth. Probably some kind of a strain in his left hip. And he is a left-handed pitcher. So that would be basically his drive leg, right? So we'll see. It's a 15-day IL stint. Probably going to need at least that. Usually what they do is they shut these guys down and they start bringing them back. I'm thinking best case scenario, we'll see A.J. Minter sometime in early September. In a perfect world, A.J. Minter will be ready to roll so they can, I guess that would be August 27th. And so, or I guess in theory, they could backdate it to yesterday. But anyways, that's what we've got on that. And actually, in theory, they could backdate it 2 days. But it sounds like that they're going to probably try to shut him down for a hot minute and go from there. All right, put that aside. I'm going to throw something out at y'all, and I'm telling you, I believe this to be true because of a quote. By Brian Snitker. Been telling you all year that I thought that Brian Snitker had, and not just Snitker, but the front office, put them all together. We'll just say management. I believe that all along these guys have gone with the mindset that they don't really want to win the division, that they just wanted to get in the playoffs, because they want to see what it's going to be like to play that first round. And I think in their world, they thought about, good to see you, Brian. I think they thought about, hey, we get the top wild card. We're going to be at home. We're going to be all right. And we'll go from there. Problem was that the Braves played with their food, and the next thing you know, we are spinning. And this is why it's always dangerous to play that game. To say, hey, I don't want to be in the I don't want to win the division. I just want to win the wild card. Well, it's really easy to say that. It's another thing to be able to pull the trigger on that. So, with all that being said, now we're sitting here and we are, first of all, we're 4 games behind San Diego in Arizona. I hate to break it to y'all, but this is real. Unless the Braves get incredibly hot, we're not getting the top wild card straight, which means we're not going to be at home. We're going to be on the road in the first round. Now, we may be able to catch fire and be the number 5 seed, but I think you'd have to get really hot to catch either one of those teams. 4 games back, and the Atlanta Braves, as we stand here today, we are now officially 45 games away from the end. Right? We played 127. You play 162. We're 45 games from the end. Or, I'm sorry, 107. We played 117. But anyways, 45 games from the end. Making up 4 games in the next 45 days is going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So now we realistically, what we're looking at is we got a half-game lead on the Mets. We have a 1.5-game lead on St. Louis and a 1.5-game lead on the team that we are playing tonight. The series that begins tonight, which is San Francisco. And you look at San Francisco and you say, hey, they're 2 games above 500. They've been playing pretty good baseball. And here's the other thing we'll get into in a second. We're going to go against their gauntlet of what is a pretty good pitching rotation. Pretty damn good pitching rotation. In fact, if you go man-to-man, top to bottom, I would say when they're hitting on all cylinders, their pitching rotation is just as good, if not better, than the Atlanta Braves as far as the depth goes. So we're gonna be up against it tonight. It's Blake Snell, who threw a no-hitter a couple of outings ago, and he is going to be going head-to-head versus Chris Sale. Now, if there's someone you want on the bump when you've got Chris Sale, hey, that's it. You'll look at Blake Snell and you'll say, well, he's got a 4.31 ERA. He's 2-3. Blah, blah, blah. He's not that great. I ain't worried about him, Mac. What the hell are you talking about? And then you go to his actual stats. And you go to, because remember, he started off horrifically at the beginning of the season. I mean, there were people just laughing at the Giants for giving them the deal they did. But remember, he came into camp extremely late. He won the Cy Young last year. This is what he's been doing ever since then. So in April, in 3 starts, he had 11.57 ERA. You're like, what? In May, he had 2 starts, and then they sent him to, May and then into June. In May, he had 2 starts at an 8.59 ERA and then a 5.79 ERA in June, which was just 1 start, right? At that point, he goes on the IL for a few weeks, comes back, and here we go. July. 4 starts in July. This is not a small sample size. And he went up against some pretty good offenses. Minnesota and the Dodgers were in there. He had a .75 ERA in 24 innings. A .75. Wow. And then in the month of August, he's had 2 starts at Cincinnati, which is a hitter's park, and at Washington, 1.8. So that's really what we're going up against, is a Blake Snell that is going to be a pain in the ass to get hits off of tonight. Now, we hope we're going to be able to play off of the momentum of the offense over the weekend. But I'm going to chalk that up You can't say, well, the pitching sucked because we're in Colorado, but man, the hitting looked good. It's the same thing. It is a hitter's environment. I dread the Colorado series every single year when we're in Colorado because I know what's going to happen. Even when you win the games, it wrecks your entire rotation. I wish there was a way for them to fix it because honestly, it's a beautiful stadium and the fans are absolutely electric. And I'm impressed by the Rocky fans every single time I see a game there. But the fact of the matter is when you play the Rockies in the summer, it's going to wreck your bullpen. I would much rather play the Colorado Rockies, and we've done it a few times early part of the year. Because when it's still cold in Colorado, the ball's not flying, it doesn't wreck your bullpen, and you play some pretty low-scoring games, and you get the hell out of there. Only thing that was great this time is that a lot of times we've gone out there and it's been a 4-game series. It was only 3 games this time. But anyways, that game yesterday, it was a meltdown to the epic proportions. You can't sugarcoat it like some of these folks will try to do all over the place. They're going to try and say, oh, well, it's this and that, and that's baseball, and it's a funny game, and you just don't even know, and blah, blah, blah. Horse hockey. Luke Jackson imploded. And Brian Snicker never should have had him out there that long because by the time he goes and gets Luke, you can already start feeling something's in the air. And did Jimenez go out and have a horrific outing? Absolutely. He sucked. But he was dealt a really difficult hand to go in there because once you get that momentum going in Colorado and the ball's getting slapped all over the place, and that place is a huge canyon to cover, the next thing you know, you see what happens there. That's not an abnormal game in Colorado. I know Braves fans feel like we've absolutely collapsed. And we did. It was a terrible outing. Especially because if we had been playing good baseball, we've lost 17 of our last 27. If we had been playing good baseball, you could just chalk that up as, whatever, we'll be all right. But we needed that win. We needed that win. We come into today, and look, I get it. The Atlanta Braves are still technically on top of the world, right? Technically, they are in the wild card standings. They're the first. They're not the first team out, but they are in the wild card atop of this. They're a half game up and 1 loss up on the Mets. We have 56 losses. They have 57. Today will even all that up. Tomorrow we will be flat-footed with the Mets. If we lose, we'll be a full game up if we win. And there you have that. Now, the one thing that you can also take away from this is that the Rockies and the Diamondbacks have played 119 games. We have played 117. We are 3 losses back. But we're 4 back in the standings. So, in theory, we're not as far back as it looks, but we'd have to get incredibly hot to get that 5 seed. That was that was what I was shooting for all along. But I still contend that the Braves front office, all the way down through the management, played with their food from May, June, July, and now we're here in August. Because April was a very good month, and they started this with and some of it had to do with started getting hurt. I get it, but they started this where we don't have a 5-man rotation. We haven't had a 5-man rotation since about opening day. All we've had is 4 guys who are consistently up, and then rifling 2 more in. We've been running a 6-man rotation, 7 in some stretches, and you've shortened the bullpen. Grant Holmes should be in the damn bullpen. But they keep playing with their food. Well, the other night, I believe it was either Saturday night or early Sunday, they asked Snicker about this series, and it's going to be Sale, Morton, Holmes, and Fried. More on the matchups here in a second. But they asked him, so you're not bringing somebody up, was the question. He said, no, we're at the point now where every game matters, and we're going to pitch the guys whose turn it is. So that would mean that Schwellenbach will pitch Friday, and there's no more guessing games, right? All right, that's great. But what about all the games you gave up down the damn stretch? All the games that you gave up. Because this ain't a video game, man. You can't just say, all right, I'm going to start winning now. This is real games, real baseball. And teams like Colorado, who don't have a prayer of making the playoffs, are still going to go out there and give them their all. You've got to put your best foot forward, and they haven't been doing it because they thought that they would not win the division, but they would win the wild card. And I believe that they were going to cruise to a wild card and probably cruise to the 4 seed, the top wild card, and host the first series in Atlanta. And that would be the ideal thing to do. But they've screwed around now, and now most likely they're going to start on the road if they make the playoffs. And most likely, as of right now, this ain't even in stone because you got Milwaukee playing really good baseball at this point. But right now, we would be starting at Milwaukee in the first round for 3. Milwaukee, by the way, is just a couple of games behind the Dodgers and the Phillies, who are neck and neck with each other. There's an outside chance we could screw around, end up with the 6th seed, and have to play the Philadelphia Phillies in Philadelphia all 3 games. And you can put the whole damn thing from top to bottom. You screwed around. You played with your food. You didn't worry about going out and getting somebody. You thought you could just, we'll play these games. We're good enough. We'll go out there and get the, if we just play 500 ball. You ain't been playing 500 ball. 10 games under 500 the last 44 games. You got, what is it, the 26th best record in baseball since May 1st, I think I saw. So there you have that. All right, done with that rant. Let's look at the series ahead. By the way, Schwellenbach was phenomenal. It's sad and disappointing that Schwellenbach did not get the W yesterday. That's why the W is the most overrated stat in all of sports. Though I still like it. I'll never. I'm an old head, man. I'll never say, well, you'll never hear me intro a game and not give the guy's record. I still think there's something to a guy that goes out there and wins. All right. This series tonight, it's Chris Sale versus Blake Snell. That's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game. We'll do the prediction and the pick to click tonight during the broadcast. 9:45 first start, y'all. 9:45, so don't forget that. 9:45 Atlanta is... It's going to be 9:45 the next 3 nights, and then Thursday we get it's a 4-game series. Thursday we get, I'm going to double check and make sure they have it. 9:45 the next 3 nights, and then 3:45 on Thursday. Goat says he'll be at work. Goat, that's why God made earbuds, buddy. Stick an earbud in, and we'll keep you up to date on what's going on, brother. They got those. They got those ones that I found on Amazon that look like they actually look like their skin tone. Their skin tone. So you're able to go to the put them in your ear and nobody's the wiser. Anyways, so tonight, tomorrow night, and Wednesday night, 9:45. Here are the pitching matchups, and these are a little concerning. We got Sale versus Snell. Honestly, I wish Sale was pitching tomorrow night and just let Morton go up against Sale and realize they're going to get the best of you, but you'd have Sale versus their. So it's Sale versus Snell. And then in game 2, it's Harrison versus Morton. Now, Harrison is solid, but he is a guy that you can get to. I guess he's got a 4.08 ERA. He's had some bumpy outings. But here's the deal. That's probably going to be a high-scoring game. Charlie Morton has sucked. He's absolutely just spit the bit. I think the end is inevitable. We know this. You may be wondering about Ian Anderson. They're not going to send him out there this round. So we may see him. There is an outside chance that we'll see him over the weekend. That would be great. Grant Holmes is going to get another start, but I would like to see Ian Anderson. He looks pretty stretched out. I'd like to see Anderson come in and start and then just let Grant Holmes piggyback him. See how far he can get and then piggyback him. That, to me, would be the ideal. But whatever. They may wait until we come back home. Because if you look at it big picture, we're in San Fran for 4, we're in L.A. for 3. If he were to pitch at all this weekend, let's say they decide to hold off and they don't want him to do another rehab start, then he would pitch somewhere the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're probably going to pitch him early this week in the minors and then bring him back. There's a good chance Ian Anderson comes back somewhere during the next homestand. But okay, tonight we're going to be scraping for every run, and hopefully Sale is Sale. Hopefully he comes on like dynamite. The next one, Harrison, we can get to him, but they can get to Morton. Now the one thing about San Francisco, they've been playing good baseball, but realize they're still San Francisco. They're still the Giants. They don't have an electric offense. If the Braves offense can wake up, you can outscore them in a shootout. The next night, it's Robbie Ray versus Grant Holmes. That's a pretty good matchup, and it's honestly a pretty fair matchup because Robbie Ray, who's got electric strikeout stuff, but he typically only goes about 5 innings because he runs his pitch count up. Plus, he's recently coming off of Tommy John. This is only like his 3rd or 4th start back. So they're watching him. I've got him on one of my Dynasty Fantasy teams, and trust me, they watch his pitch count. When he's pitching late, if I'm up editing and whatnot, I'll listen to the San Francisco game. And from my understanding, they don't want him to get anywhere near that 100 mark probably till September, but maybe not even then. So Holmes, who's probably going to go 4 or 5 innings, that's usually when he runs into trouble, runs out of gas. It's pretty fair. And then Thursday, Max Fried has got to get his head out of his rear. Max Fried, I don't care. Oh, it was Colorado. The first time it was Russ. All right, there's no more excuses, Fried. And then most likely it's going to be Schwellenbach on Friday to start the Colorado series, which would take you to Sale and Morton on the weekend. So, what we're looking at of this series, I know that I said at one point going into this 10-game series, I would have preferred for the Braves bare minimum to be 6-4. And I still stand by that. And I think anything less than 6-4 on this series, it's going to be you'll live with 5-5 at this point because we dropped the series to Colorado, but you don't want anything worse than that. And I really don't think, even if we sweep the Angels, I don't think we need to be going in and losing this series to San Francisco. Bare minimum, we got to get the split because they are sitting a game and a half behind us. In theory, they could overtake us. But even if they just take 3 or 4 and don't sweep us, they're going to be a half game behind, and not to mention the Mets will probably have catapulted past us because the Mets are at home against Oakland this week and at home against the Marlins. That's not a really good recipe for us to make a lot of ground up. So we're going to have to go out there and hold our own. A split in San Francisco is the bare minimum. And I think it can be done. I mean, ideally, you would hope that Chris Sale can outduel Snell and we win a low-scoring game tonight. And I feel like we've got the upper end. We've got the upper hand in the Max Fried Webb matchup. The only problem that Thursday outing, Fried versus Webb, Webb has pitched really well at home. He doesn't pitch so well on the road, but he pitches really well at home. And he's had some good outings against the Braves. But I'd like to see, so if that is the case, if we can win tonight, and we can hopefully win Max Fried Day, then you're talking about just having to split one of the two between the Morton versus Harrison and Grant Holmes versus Robbie Ray. And if you get one of those, then you can actually win the series. If you win the series, it'd be phenomenal. If the Braves come out of here and win 3 out of 4 in San Francisco, I'll be on cloud 9. But I will gladly take a split. If you told me right now, McGee, we are going to split this series, I can guarantee you right now, what would you do? I say, we're getting on a plane. We're heading to Los Angeles, take on the Angels on Friday. You can have the split. Let's get out of it. That's not how they do baseball. The Mets, real quick, I just want to give you an idea on the teams that are chasing us. The Mets are at home against Oakland and Miami. We talked about that. Remember, they're having some issues with pitching because Kodai Senga got shut down. So their depth of their pitching stuff. And they're coming off a horrendous. You talk about horrific. I listened to New York radio this morning. They are in the dumps because they got blown out at Seattle this weekend. They scored 1 run. It was a solo shot in the 6th inning last night in a 12-1 loss against the Mariners. The Mariners shut them out Friday night, Saturday night. They got 1 run. So they went 23 innings without scoring a run in that series. Unbelievable. And they've been one of the hotter offenses in all of baseball. So that's who the Mets have up. After that, they're going to come home and they're going to play they'll stay at home, and take on Baltimore for 3. And so you're like, man, they got a 9-game homestand. They're going to be up. But then it gets rough for the Mets. They go to San Diego for 4 and Arizona for 3. That's a 7-game road trip. It's going to be brutal. And then they're going to finish it off with 4 more in Chicago against the White Sox, who aren't a great baseball team at all. But, man, when you get to the end of an 11-game road trip, you can just be throwing some duds out there. The Mets will be very fortunate to come home, and even with 4 games in Chicago, they'll be very fortunate to come home in that 11-game series and be 6-5, 5-6. I guarantee you they would take that right now. And they'll continue to have some tough matchups. They got to host the Red Sox, who are really hot. They play Cincinnati, who's kind of fallen off. But then the biggest thing, they were talking about this this morning. If these games matter to these teams, the last 10 games for the Mets is 4 at home against Philly, 3 at Atlanta, and then 3 at Milwaukee. That Atlanta Mets series in late September, maybe for the whole bag of potatoes. You look at St. Louis real quick. I won't go in so much depth on them, but real quick, they're taking on the Reds early part of this week, and then they come home to face the Dodgers. So we're pulling for the Reds to upend the Cardinals. Arizona, if there's any chance of catching either of the teams that are in front of us, Arizona, they are at home for 3 against Colorado. What? So that's and Colorado just took us 2 out of 3, but Colorado's a different team when they are in Colorado. This game is going to be in Arizona. Arizona's been hot. San Diego, by the way, they are also at home 3 against Pittsburgh, so go Pirates. And then they'll finish off 3 in Colorado. Hopefully that'll tear up their bullpen too. And there you have that. We will see you tonight. We're gonna, like I said, we're going to start doing this Country Club live for Country Club members. If you want to see it live, join in. Got to be a Country Club member. Essentially, we've gone long enough doing shows and whatnot where you don't have to be a member to see it live. Going forward, these will be live. Now, you're still going to be able to see the replay, and we'll probably play the replay coming into tonight's game. But you won't be, if you're reacting and whatnot, I hate to tell you, but this is already recorded. So there you go. All right, we'll see you, Country Club. Appreciate y'all being members, and we got a lot more on the way. I got a lot of stuff dialed out that we're going to be doing this fall, even out of baseball season. Real quick, we have nailed it down. We've got a couple of stations that are interested in carrying this live. Once Upon a Pastime series will be on Wednesday nights this fall after baseball season. And what that's going to be, if you've ever heard any of our Once Upon a Pastimes where I've gone into depth of whatever it is in the world of baseball, could be something historical, maybe something, that's a hot topic, right? Like the designated hitter or something like that. Anyways, we do an entire episode on that, but these are going to be new and different. People are going to be able to react live. Country Club members are going to be able to react live, and then we'll also open up the phone lines at some point if anyone wants to call or if they just want to put it in the chat, we'll react. And we're going to go over, so in other words, like we might do a deep dive on a certain period of baseball that you may have questions on. And we're also going to let the fans, the listeners, decide where we go. We're going to put up polls during those to say, hey, what do you want to hear next? What do you want to do next? And I think we'll have a lot of fun. Give us a chance to look forward to something on Wednesday nights in the fall because football is played on Thursday through Monday. We figured Wednesday night would be the best night to do it, and there's a lot of interest. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun with that. All right, y'all. Well, let's get our head out of our ass. I'll see y'all 9:45. I got a lot to do and a little time to do it. I am eastbound and down, baby. We'll be back 9:45 tonight.